Hi, Lauren.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for taking the time out of a wild day in the market to join us. I'm.
Yes, it's a wide day indeed.
It's very nice to meet you. I found you on Twitter, and I see that you have a website under construction. You're a husband and a father, and you're a gardener. Maybe you're like Chauncey Gardner in that movie. I think it was called Our Time, and he said there would be growth in the spring. So I'm I'm interested in how you got started in the trading business and what it was like for you at the beginning of the journey. That's usually the most dangerous time for people when they come into the market and think that it's going to be easy money. I was pulled aside by a veteran when I was getting my seat at the Merck, and he said, "Kid, this is a tough way to make an easy buck." So why don't you tell us who you have to blame for becoming a full-time professional trader?
Yeah, thank you for the introduction and thank you so much for your invitation. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to meet you. So as you said, I'm a father of two. I have many different interests like gardening, etc. My journey in trading began some 10, maybe 12 years ago when I was even before I was at the university. I was studying science in Germany, Saarbrücken, and
Yes.
I started trading already as a teenager, trading stocks. So I bought my first stock in 2005. I remember it very well because it was an insurance company stock
Mhm.
that lost around 10% in 2 days because of the London metro bombing. I think it was June
Oh,
or July
okay.
2005.
Right.
So I bought that stock, and I'm still doing the same. I'm still having the same approach. Of course, over the course of 10 years, you learn a lot of stuff. You try a lot of different techniques, and then you throw them all away again. But at the very beginning, I was always a trend trader who was just waiting for cheap entries. Um, Bought this stock a couple of days later. I sold it again with 15% profit, and that's how my journey began. I was initially I was a stock trader, so I had a watch list of a couple of companies that I knew the companies, I knew the products, I knew the competition, etc. And I just bought when they were cheap, when they were losing like 10, 15, 20% within a short time, and made my short-term profits on them until I think it was 2000, late 2007, beginning 2008, when all the stock market started crashing for the first time. So I started after the dot-com bubble, so I didn't experience this craziness in 2000.
Yeah,
But
you had no bear market experience till
yes,
2008. Okay. I
absolutely, I
mean,
was in.
go ahead.
As you say, I was in a bear market, and then from 2008 on, I just had loss after loss because I was continuously adding to my losing position and increasing risk. And I knew a little bit about hedging techniques by then, and how to use products with leverage, but it was a complete disaster. I lost in less than a couple of weeks. I lost what I made over the years. So I decided to treat trading with a little more serious than I had so far, and I found a couple of coaches or trainers
Yeah,
online.
I was going to ask you because I'm looking at your charts. And it's perfectly okay to name them. We've all had books or authors or taken courses or had mentors. So
Yes.
that was my next question. Who influenced you?
I've been influenced on two sides. On the currency. So when I was still trading stocks, I was looking at a lot of. I was reading books. The big book from Murphy, I think it's called, the book of technical analysis. It's pretty big.
By
So I
Jake
was.
Bernstein?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay,
Thank
yes. Yeah, he
you.
is a veteran. Okay.
So that's how I got started into technical analysis.
He was very big on seasonals, and also he had a great expression for what it takes to become a trader. I use it all the time. Do you recall him saying it takes stick-to-itiveness, meaning persistence?
And that's very true.
Yeah. Okay. So Jake Bernstein got you going in charting, and
In
who was your
charting,
other mentor?
I found a team in the US. They're called Trade Empowered. It's Akil Stokes.
Jason Stapleton, Akil Stokes.
Yes.
Okay.
So they inspired me. They inspired me to look into harmonic moves, etc. And that's how I got started looking at Elliott waves and chart pattern like the Gartley or the bat pattern, etc. I'm not trading these patterns today, but they helped me develop an understanding of the market moves and what it actually means when you see different ups and downs of different lengths in the market, that they can actually mean something, or that we can try as a trader to interpret some meaning into it. So they definitely did influence me. I think I found them like 5 years ago when they just began becoming a little bigger. And on the stock market, I'm listening a lot to Todd Gordon, who's a former hedge fund manager. He's also, like you, a CNBC contributor. He's trading options, and of course Tasty Trade. I just like the idea of selling options, collecting premium, using defined risk options like credit spread, or vertical spread, depending.
Wow, you do it all, buddy. You do it all. Yeah, Todd Gordon, they call him Flash Crash Gordon. So, so we're looking at cable here. We've had a huge move. I'm interested to know why you think certain things on your charts are important. Why don't we start off with how do you use RSI? That's something that I use quite a bit. Why is RSI important to you, and how do you use it?
Sure. I actually don't. I don't use it in my trading as an argument. I use it for confirmation or contacts. So what I typically do is take an RSI 5 period or 7 periods, or something that's really fast and sensitive. And I'm just looking at the evolution of the RSI, not so much the value that it has currently.
So are you talking about you're looking for price and RSI to confirm, or you're looking at potential RSI momentum divergences?
Yes, I'm trading very discretionary, meaning that my approach is trend trading. So I'm looking for breakouts, for instance, on the GBP USD. You can see the lines that I put in are breaking minor or major swings, and I would just wait for a high or a low for the price to close over or under a high and a low, and then buy on different arguments the pullback. And the arguments that I'm looking at is candlestick pattern and support and resistance. Like here is a typical situation for me to buy this close above the swing high. So in this situation, I would change as soon as the price pulls back into a minor support. I'm changing time frame. I'm going a little lower and look at the price movement on lower time frame. And if I can see some arguments that traders are coming in and pushing the price higher because on lower time frame we get a nice up trade, or that the RSI went from overbought to oversold and now leaving oversold. These are arguments that I'm looking at, and then from situation to situation I take a decision whether I buy or not. I'm also looking at Fibonacci's, so I'm taking the Fibonacci retracement, for instance, and look if this comes in at the same moment here we have the 786, which is the level that I'm looking at. So probably in this area, if on lower time frame there is some kind of price pattern, I would have bought GBP USD in that area, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just looking on the higher time frame to get the direction, the feeling of the direction. Of course, also thinking about the fundamental, like in the, I don't want to be buyer on the long term on sterling with the Brexit terms and conditions not clear at the moment.
So tell us now, that's the past. In this business, you're only as good as your last call. So pound's had a huge surge. I see a little momentum divergence, maybe a 3-driver. What do you think about the pound right here? What would
right
you?
Here.
Yeah, right here, right now. What would you
Yes,
do?
I
And,
actually
doing nothing is okay. So go ahead.
I actually sold it here, just short of this support, of this resistance. Sorry, I saw this double top coming in at this resistance level. This huge big red area is from a higher time frame.
Are they your pivots or just resistance zones?
They're just swing high and low resistance.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Go back to 2009. This is the upper band, and in August 2016, this is the lower band of a big resistance area. So I just put it on my chart, so I know the context where the price is currently at. And as said, with the Brexit uncertainty, I don't want to be buying sterling right now. So I was looking for a cheap way to get into a short trade sterling. I sold sterling on this candle here. I saw the double top coming in, the close below this doji. It's not really doji, but it's this star candle. So I shorted here, and I'm now actually hedging this trade because I think that GBP USD will still go midterm. It will chase these new lows. It will fall again. So for me, GBP USD is not a buy, but it's a sell. I sold it here. It rallied up. I hedged myself to protect against further loss.
How do you hedge? In a separate account, you get long against your short position?
Yes, I go long against my short position. And I know in the US it's a problem to hedge the same. Here in Europe, it's not. So that's what I do. I in, let's say, 60% of the time I'm right. I'm doing a profit. It doesn't hurt me a lot, and 40 to 35% of the time I have to manage me out of these unsuccessful trades.
Instead of using stops, you just hedge until, and then how do you decide when to lift the leg of the hedge?
I use statistics. I did a lot of statistics in the past to understand if this price moves happens, if this support and resistance are they respected or not, and then I just use statistics to wait until the price comes into an area where I believe that the statistical chance is higher for it to go down than continue rallying up. I wait for some confirmation on lower time frames. I close the hedge with a loss, and that's going to be the cost of my insurance, and I wait for the price to come down. If it continues up, I have another hedge order that takes in again. So
that's the tricky part, isn't it, when lifting a leg, which leg to lift? Isn't that the most critical part of the whole situation? It's easier when you don't have to hedge, but if you do, making the decision, well, do I lift what I was originally wrong on and stay with my hedge, or do I lift my hedge now that it's covered some of my losses or a majority of my losses and go with my original thought?
Yes, and to be honest, I probably,
because I've done it before, Lauren. That's why I'm saying, and at times at times I've lifted the wrong leg and peed on myself. So I'm just wondering, in those situations, what's a contingency that makes you gives you confidence on which side of the market you're going to lift?
Well, you never know, right? Nobody knows until it happens.
Right.
So I only do it for my personal comfort because it's hard for me to just let the trade with a stop loss because it just frustrates me when 5 or 6 trades in a row get stopped out, and I feel like when I'm hedging them, because currencies, that's what I like about currencies, they oscillate a lot around their fair value, so they always coming back some point, and I feel like it's easier for me to manage these losing trades by hedging them instead of just accepting the loss and cutting the loss. But in the long run, in the end game, maybe it will be more profitable to just accept the loss and close the trade. But for me, it's easier for me to continue trading if I know that I'm protected against further.
Yeah, well, and that's a personal choice. Jack Schwager says, find a trading style that suits your personality. So I think you diagnosed it. It was you still feel alive being in the trade because you're hedged, whereas taking a loss and reassessing is completely different psychologically. It's like you have to reassess and think about what you did wrong. Here you're still in the game, and your original scenario could play out, and you ended up maybe you end up a lot of the times being right the market, wrong the trade, but you ride out being wrong the trade. Eventually you right the market, and it works out for you. It's interesting.
Yeah,
if you can do that
that's
successfully.
absolutely. At the very beginning, when I started using these hedge trades, I didn't think about how to exit them again. I was just protecting me against my losing trades. But then it started becoming messy. If you trade, at the moment I'm looking at 9 different currency pairs. I'm only trading around between 3 and 5. Usually I don't like taking correlating positions on at the same time. But if you are in 5 trades and they're all against you, and you have 5 different hedges, and you don't know how to exit the initial trades or the hedges, it can become messy and frustrating very quick. So I just wrote a basic strategy to decide when I close the hedge and when I enter it again. And at the moment, it's like you say, it suits me. That's my style of trading. I like it, and that makes me continue.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I see that you have a website under construction. When's it going to be launched, and what are you going to be offering on that website?
Yes, that's the website actually exists. I put it under construction because I'm working in the financial industry in Luxembourg. So my clients are investment funds. I'm working with a bank, and there's a potential conflict of interest that needs to be addressed. I can trade from my own account, and I manage money of my family, so savings of my family, and that's absolutely acceptable for my employer, as long as I disclose every transaction that I do to avoid fraud, because I have access to insider information.
Okay, do you mind disclosing what bank you trade for?
Sorry, once again?
Huh?
Okay, can you repeat that once again? Sorry.
Do you mind disclosing what bank you trade for?
Yes, I'm disclosing on my forex trades. They're not so much concerned, but some of my clients are large investment funds.
No, I'm asking the name of the bank that you trade for. What bank do you trade for?
I'm actually with BNP Paribas.
Oh, okay. All right. Very high-end, excellent company. Yeah, congratulations on that. So,
thank you.
I guess the question would be, with a position like that, why even bother with retail? Unless it's just something you want to pass along and teach people, and there are a lot of people out there that need help from professional traders. Was that your goal? And so you're not going to launch this website? It's kind of offline for good now?
It's ready. I just need to switch
to lawyers.
The construction mode. But my thoughts with that website is, because I know the background, I know how hard it is for retailers to invest their money, and what we do takes a lot of time, doing all this research, acquiring all this knowledge and experience, and many people have the desire to invest their savings, but they just have no time or no interest to learn all this stuff. And if you look at the investment fund market, it's hard to find the right fund that yields constantly, regularly, every year, etc. So I feel like there is a market for a copy trading or mirror trading service for small investors who don't have the capital to go to a private banker and let them manage their accounts, but really want to do something more close to the market and not investing into large investment funds. So that's an idea I had in mind, but I said it's something that I'm exploring, and I'm in discussion with my employer to address the conflict of interest.
Okay, so you're kind of a long-term bear in the pound, and you think it's could be completing something here. Do you think the euro, the break that we had in the euro, may have been just the rally that we had from 103 to 121 was just a correction and an ongoing bear market? I want to wrap it with that. What your view is on euro here?
I think the euro is too high at the moment. I'm actually waiting for
115.
For a lot less. Let me just get the chart right. If I look on the long term, the euro, we can see that there are quite a lot of support levels around from 125 to let's say 120.
Yeah.
And the euro, it fall from a cliff from the 140s. It fall from a cliff and then bounced a little bit. We saw a little bit of consolidation. Now it rallied right into this resistance level. So I am looking at the RSI. It's leaving. I'm on the weekly chart. I'm on the monthly chart here. So if you look at the RSI, it was oversold right in this resistance area, and now leaving the oversold condition, which could be an indication for an end of this short-term up rally. So I am actually bearish on the euro as well.
It's also testing today's low, the 2-week off number, but that's a lesson for, that's what I teach. So very, very nice presentation, Laurent. I really appreciate your time. I didn't know that you were a bank trader, and it was a very interesting presentation for risk management, considering most people just go the other way. When they're wrong, they're out, and they look for the next trade. I've heard people say, my best trade is my next trade. So it was really a pleasure meeting you, and I wish you continued success, and may pips rain down on you. And I'm glad to call you my trading warrior brother. Very nice to have met you.
Same for me. Thanks so much. It was nice talking to you.
And you could follow Laurent at Lorber INV. That's correct. That's your Twitter handle, buddy?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, and thank you so much, buddy, and really glad that I found you on Twitter. Let's keep in touch, all right?
Absolutely.
Okay, buddy. Laurent Sharir, everyone, at Lorber Invest, humble guy, INV, Lorber, LORBERINV, and be a great follow for you guys, and that's why I bring guests in to help edify the community. And there's another way for you to consider managing risk. I've never had success with it. Once in a while I get lucky and lift the right leg, but obviously Laurent knows how to do it. So good hunting, everyone. Hope you had a great Thursday. I want to thank all the viewers from investing.com. And most of all, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. Thank you, Blake. Thank you, Nick, for stopping by today. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Stell. Great Euro Pound trade, Forex analytics. And we'll see everyone tomorrow to wrap up the week. TGIF tomorrow. And we have a great interview tomorrow. The guy's pretty famous, Victor Zubarov. He's a GAN guy. He's one of those market wizard guys, so you don't want to miss Victor. And I'll see everyone tomorrow. Enjoy your summer day. You have 10 days left, I think, or less. See you, Simon. You're welcome, Kevin. Adios, my trading warrior brothers and sisters. And thanks again, Laurent.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Adios. Good
Bye.
hunting.